OMF stands for OSIsoft message format. So that is a specification done by OSIsoft, and it's basically just a specification on how to write data to certain endpoints. In this case, we're going to write data to OCS. So it's a specification of how to send the data. So it's like a format you can use. And so this is the documentation for OMF. And this is, so the link is present in Appendix D. And in OMF, there are three main types of messages we send. And remember, OMF only sends data back either to the PI system or to OCS in this case. So it only sends data. It's not used to read data. It only writes data, basically. So we have the main components of an OCS message, of an OMF message are first the headers. So I need to specify the header. And most importantly, you need to specify the message type. So you need to specify if you're sending a type or a container or data, and we're going to talk about these. And you need to specify what is the action. The rest is usually the same for all types of OMF messages. So again, in the message type, you either specify if it's a type, a container, or data. And in the action, you specify what you want to do. So if it's creating or updating or deleting. So that's what you pass in the headers. So again, we have three message types. So if we look at type messages, so type messages are when you're creating a type. So in OCS, if you want to create a type, like float32 or a different type, or the types we see here in OCS, basically. So if you go to the sequential data store, so these kinds of types, which we've already created using the OCS agent. So you can create your own type using OMF. And this is an example. You can, in the documentation, it's pretty detailed, so you can check all the parameters you can pass, or you can check the example as well, which shows an example of passing a type, creating a type, basically. So you can see the header you pass. Again, in the header, you specify a message type of type, and action is create. So basically, we're creating a type here. So you can see here how to create a type. So it needs an ID, version, type, classification, and then the properties. Okay, so these are basically the attributes or the properties of the type. Okay. Yeah, and you can create more than one parameter. So in this case, the first one is plant, the second one is tank. That's all different types you're creating here, and each type has several properties. So in this message, we're basically creating several types, one for plant, one for tank, and another one tank measurement, and so on. And each one has its own properties. So that's for type messages. Container messages are, a container is like a tag, or for OCS, it's a stream. Okay, so we can check an example here as well. So again, the message type has to be container, and then in the body you specify, in this case, we're creating two OCS streams. So that's one stream and that's the other stream. So that's for containers. So in terms of OCS, containers are streams. And for data, data is the values you want to send to a stream. So we can look at an example here. So again, in the message type, you specify data, and this is where you specify the data you want to send. So you have to make sure you're pointing to the ID and then the values. Okay, that's another one here. So you're pointing to the type ID, and then you specify the different values. And the important thing is to specify the container ID so that you know to which tag you're sending those values. So that's the stream basically. Okay, so this is another set. Again, you specify container ID and then the values. Okay, so those are like the three main types you can use in OMF. In OCS, we have an OMF editor. So you can use that to check some sample messages. So that's again type, container, or data. And you can test your OMF before sending it. You can test the OMF script. So in this case, like if you go to one of the type messages, so you can copy this and paste it over here, and this basically checks if the OMF is okay. So it says here it's a valid OMF. If there's an error, it's gonna show. Okay, so if you write something or miss one of the braces, it's gonna show that there's an error. So that's what this is for. So it validates your OMF and checks if it's okay. Okay, and so that, yeah, again, so that's for type. There's for container, the same thing. You can test your container messages and for data.